I'll give a couple of examples. Sahih al-Bukhari, number 3175. Aisha narrated, once the Prophet was bewitched, so that he began to imagine that he had done a thing which, in fact, he had not done. Now, why is this interesting? Well, when we title a video a bewitched prophet, something about Muhammad being bewitched, Muslims will get upset. Hey, it's not us calling Muhammad bewitched. It was Aisha calling Muhammad bewitched. The Muslim sources call Muhammad bewitched. Sahih al-Bukhari calls Muhammad bewitched. Bewitched means you've got a magic spell cast on you that's causing you to behave in certain ways. Sahih al-Bukhari, number 5765. Aisha narrated, magic was worked on Allah's apostle so that he used to think that he had had sexual relations with his wives while he actually had not. Then one day he said, "Oh Aisha, do you know that Allah has instructed me concerning the matter I asked him about? 2 men came to me and one of them sat near my head and the other sat near my feet. The one near my head asked the other, 'What is wrong with this man?' The latter replied, 'He is under the effect of magic.' The first one asked, 'Who has worked magic on him?' The other replied, 'Labid bin Al-A'sam, a man from Bani Zuraiq who was an ally of the Jews and was a hypocrite.' The first one asked, 'What material did he use?' The other replied, 'A comb, and the hair stuck to it.'" So this ally of the Jews and a hypocrite wanted to take out Muhammad, so he got someone to give him to get Muhammad's hairbrush so he could get a hair off it and use the hair to cast a magic spell on Muhammad. And watch what happens. This is in Ibn Ishaq. Ibn Ishaq reports that Labid bin Al-A'sam bewitched the apostle of God so that he could not come at his wives. And then Guillaume adds a footnote. Guillaume is the translator, adds a footnote that according to tradition, the spell lasted for a year. And I've seen various traditions saying that it lasted from between 6 months to 2 years. So between 6 months to 2 years, this magician was able to give Muhammad delusional thoughts and false beliefs about things he was doing with his wives, and then he couldn't have sex with them, and then he would think he did this when he actually hadn't. And this is all because the guy got a hair out of his hairbrush and used it to cast. And this is the guy who's under Allah's constant protection.
How much of the Quran was revealed during these 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, they're given these revelations, and then Muhammad's a victim of magic. So he thinks he's possessed. He's admittedly delivering revelations from the devil. And of course, he's bewitched by a magic spell. And this is the guy we're all supposed to trust whenever he says anything.
Yeah.
Faster than you could say mental hospitals, disabled kids ain't hammers. David Wood will keep bringing up the same old refuted arguments against the Prophet Muhammad. So him and his Arab boyfriend, Al-Fadi, is saying that the Prophet Muhammad was under a magical spell. Now, just to make this video as quick as possible, if you read that hadith, the hadith actually shows that the Prophet Muhammad was cured of the black magic. Let's read that hadith right now. All right, it says in Sahih al-Bukhari, narrated by Aisha, magic was worked on the Prophet so that he began to fancy that he was doing a thing which he was actually not doing. One day he invoked Allah for a long period and said, "I feel Allah has inspired me as to how to cure myself. 2 persons came to me in my dream and sat in my head and the other by my feet. One of them said, 'What is the ailment of this man?' They said, 'He has been bewitched.' The first asked, 'Who has bewitched him?' The other replied, 'Labid bin Al-A'sam.'" While skipping to the relevant part, it says, "So the Prophet went out to the well and returned and said to me on his return, 'It's the date palms. The date palms near this well are like the heads of the devils.' I said, 'Did you take out those things with which the magic was worked?' He said, 'No, for I have been cured by Allah.'" Okay, this is the important part. Later in that hadith, he says, "No, for I have been cured by Allah, and I am afraid that this action may spread evil amongst the people. later on the well was filled up with the earth. So notice how this hadith actually proves that the Prophet Muhammad is a prophet, because he was bewitched by this man, Labid bin Al-A'sam, and the Prophet Muhammad had a prophecy, or he had a dream of how to cure himself from the magic. So, the Prophet Muhammad was cured from the magic. So the magic did not affect the way the Prophet Muhammad received revelations from the angel Gabriel. All it says is that he used to think that he was doing something, but he was not actually doing it. So there's some confusion on what he was doing, but it didn't affect the revelation of the Quran. So now notice in that hadith, it says one day he invoked Allah for a long period and said, I feel Allah has inspired me to cure myself. So if the Prophet Muhammad was a false prophet, why did God allow him to have a vision or a dream or a prophecy of how to cure himself? So, now notice what the hadith says. It says 2 people came to the Prophet Muhammad in his dream, and they said, the hadith says the first asked, where is that? The other replied, it is in the well of Dara. So the Prophet Muhammad went out towards the well and returned and said to me on his return, the date palms are like the heads of the devil. So notice that 2 people came to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream, 2 angels, and the angels tell the Prophet Muhammad where the materials for the bewitchment are, and the Prophet eventually goes to this location and sees it himself. So the Prophet Muhammad, was inspired, or he got a dream or a vision of how to cure himself from the magic. So if we read that hadith in full, it says we know that evil black magic was worked on the Prophet Muhammad. The magic did not affect the revelations of the Quran. The Prophet Muhammad asked Allah for help, in a dream or a vision, Allah sent 2 angels to the Prophet Muhammad in a dream, and the angels told the Prophet Muhammad where to go to find the material, take out the material, and cure himself of the black magic. So, so basically there's a lesson here in that if we need help, if we're in trouble, we ask Allah, we ask God for help. We see this in the Quran chapter 33 verse 3, Quran chapter 7 verse 196, and the Quran chapter 3 verse 150. So the whole point is that yes, the Prophet Muhammad was a victim of black magic. But if you read that hadith in full, Allah or God gave Prophet Muhammad a dream or a vision on how to cure himself of the black magic. The angels, or the dream, directed him to a well where he took out the hairbrush, or the magical item that he took out of the well, and after that, the Prophet Muhammad was cured of the black magic. So we see that there's a lesson in this hadith that where we have to rely on Allah or God for help, and God will help us. The Prophet Muhammad didn't go to some other magician to cure himself or whatever. He just relied on God's help. So this was just a test from God, and the Prophet Muhammad, it didn't affect the revelation. The Prophet Muhammad thought he was with his wives when he really wasn't. And later on, the Prophet Muhammad had a dream or a vision on how to cure himself of the magic. So he went and he cured himself of the magic, being inspired by that dream or that vision from Allah or God. So, this hadith actually proves that the Prophet Muhammad is a prophet, because if he was a false prophet, why did God allow him to have a dream or a vision on how to cure himself of the magic? So this actually proves that the Prophet Muhammad is a real prophet, because, God allowed him to figure out or find a cure for that black magic. But notice how David Wood is very inconsistent, because David Wood, last time I checked, is a Bible-believing Christian. He believes in the Bible. Same with his Arab boyfriend, Al-Fadi. So what does the Bible say about evil spirits from God? Well, there's the case of Saul. Let me just pull up the Bible verse right now. Okay, so basically King Saul was the first king of Israel. And the Bible says, now the Spirit of the Lord, that means the Spirit of the God of the Bible, departed from Saul in a harmful spirit from the Lord. This is the important part. In a harmful spirit from the Lord tormented him. So basically an evil spirit from God, the God of, the Bible, an evil spirit was sent from God to torment King Saul. The evil spirit was a continual presence. However, the evil spirit or the demon or whatever tormented Saul. So my question is, how could an evil spirit be from the Lord? Why would God allow an evil spirit to torment Saul? So the whole point is that according to the Bible, God allows these things to happen to his servants. Evil spirits coming and Satan causing problems to them in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 12, and the book of Job, chapter 2, verse 6. So, God allows these things to happen as a test or as some kind of test to his servants. It happened in the Bible. It happened to Job in the book of Job. It happened to Saul in 1 Samuel 16, etc., etc. You see that Satan and evil spirits are sent from God to torment, prophets or righteous figures like Saul and Job. Well, this was a test from Allah in the Prophet Muhammad past because he put his trust in Allah, or he put his trust in God to cure him of the black magic. So please, David Wood, I don't know if you're watching this video, but try to come up with more consistent arguments and read the whole Hadith. Read the Hadith in full. Don't just take out parts that you want to criticize the Prophet Muhammad for. Read the Hadith in full. The Hadith says the Prophet Muhammad was cured from the black magic when he asked Allah for help. So this proves that Muhammad was a real prophet. And it proves that the Prophet Muhammad went through what the figures in the Bible went through, like Job and Saul. Notice how God sent an evil spirit to torment Saul, and God allowed Satan to cause severe problems to his righteous servant Job in the book of Job. So if anything, the Prophet Muhammad went through the same things Saul and Job went through, and Saul, Job, and the Prophet Muhammad were eventually cured from the evil spirit, black magic, and Satan's influence because because these figures put their trust in God, and God cured them in the Old Testament and in the Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad. Stay tuned, more videos coming up ahead.